Hi everyone, welcome to the Highlights from Ukraine podcast, your daily audio summary of the latest news reported in the Ukrainian media. My name is Artem and here is the news. For 613 days, Ukraine stands strong against the forces of the Russian invasion. The Office of the President of Ukraine released a summary of the third meeting dedicated to the Ukrainian peace formula in Malta on 28th and 29th of October, reports Radio Liberty. According to the Ukrainian officials, it was focused on the topics of nuclear, food, and power safety, as well as on the liberation of prisoners of war and deported persons and the restoring of Ukraine's territorial integrity. These 5 points of the peace formula had previously been studied by work groups upon participation of diplomatic representatives of different countries. Each topic at the meeting was presented and commented on by Ukrainian and foreign officials. The nuclear security plan provides for complete withdrawal of the Russian personnel, armament and military equipment from the territory of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, and handing the control over the plant to Ukraine, strengthening the role of International Atomic Energy Agency in the monitoring of adherence to operating rules, as well as studying the accountability mechanisms for violating the principles of nuclear security. Implementation of the clause concerning power security provides for the development of the energy resistance model and making it possible to use power as a leverage of influence in future acts of aggression. In the context of food security, the peace formula suggests introducing international security guarantees for uninterrupted supply of food, specifically to strengthen the protection of port and logistic infrastructure of Ukraine, facilitate mine clearance of the sea routes, and support the insurance of vessels and cargoes which have been transported into and from the Ukrainian seaports. The action plan for bringing the prisoners of war and deported Ukrainians back to Ukraine provides for creating an international monitoring group for collecting the information about them, gaining access to the places where they are held, imposing new sanctions against Russia and its officials for violating the international humanitarian law and putting pressure on Russia so as to grant the UN and the International Red Cross community unobstructed access to Ukrainian prisoners of war. Canada proposed to create an international coalition of countries which will contribute in particular to the return of Ukrainian children deported or forcibly relocated by Russia from the temporarily occupied territories of Ukraine. Concerning the clause about adhering to the UN statute and restoring territorial integrity of Ukraine and the world order, the work group suggests focusing on the reform of the UN Security Council and limiting the veto rights, strengthening the role of the International UN Court by recognizing the mandatory jurisdiction of the court on all arguments about the violation of the UN statute, as well as creating the early warning system about the actions that violate the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the states. Over 65 countries participated in the meeting in Malta, and this number is significantly higher than at the previous meeting in Saudi Arabia. The list of the participants has not been disclosed, but it was revealed that Armenia participated for the first time. We would really appreciate if you could recommend us to your friends and family, as well as share information on social media. This way more people would learn about the podcast and truth about Russia's invasion. Participants of an anti-Semitic rally in Makhachkala, Russia, on Sunday broke into an airport and tried to get on a plane from Tel Aviv looking for Jews, reports TSN. In the result, about 20 people were wounded, facilities of the airport damaged. President Volodymyr Zelensky commented on this, saying that Russian anti-Semitism and hatred of other nations are systematic and have deep roots. Quote, "This is not an isolated incident in Makhachkala, it is a part of a widespread culture of hatred of other peoples in Russia, promoted by state television, experts and the authorities." Zelensky reminded that over the past year, the Russian foreign minister has made a number of anti-Semitic statements. The Russian president has also used anti-Semitic imagery. Hate speech is commonplace for Russian propagandists on official television. A recently elected new Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives, Mike Johnson, said on Sunday that bills on aid to Israel and Ukraine will be taken up separately, reports Ukrainska Pravda. In an interview with Fox News, he stressed that Israel's need is urgent, no more time can be wasted, and the bill will be brought to the House of Representatives this week. Since the beginning of the new marketing year 2023-2024, Ukraine has exported 8.72 million tons of grain, reports Rubrika. According to the Ministry of Agrarian Policy and Food, in this marketing year, which started on July 7th, Ukraine has already exported 4.4 million tons of wheat, 669,000 tons of barley, and 3.53 million tons of corn. During the same period of the last marketing year, Ukraine export was 3.62 million tons higher. Thank you for listening to the Highlights from Ukraine podcast. We're a commercial initiative of just two people and we need your help to grow. Share information about the podcast, rate us in the app, subscribe to our Patreon, following the link in the description to this episode. With your support, we're getting better. We call on you to demand from governments of your countries to impose the toughest sanctions possible on Russia and its citizens to stop their invasion of Ukraine.